Hello, everybody. My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is the Connecticut Sports Talent Show, where we talk all things talents in Connecticut. And on tonight's show, I'm pleased to have Sarah Wyant, the head coach of the Sheehan softball program. And, you know, the amount of attention I think softball deserves, especially now, is huge, right? I know last year I was big on that when I was doing the championship games and then doing previews and such. And it's always great to be able to have a head coach be able rather to preview her season for her program. Coach, I appreciate you coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me, Chris. I'm excited for this.
Coach, before we get into this season, real quick, just kind of give a recap for people if they maybe kind of forgot, especially with this season coming up. And your first game is coming up very soon because of the weather canceling or rather postponing the first game. Kind of give a preview from last season a little bit.
Yeah, so we actually are filling a lot of holes this year. We had five seniors who graduated who were all starters. So this year is really important for us to be able to fill in those puzzle pieces of those missing players. Last year, I feel like we really flew under the radar because our regular season, competition where our record didn't really indicate the type of team we were because we play some great teams throughout the year. And then when the postseason came around, we really went on a run. We ended up losing to Seymour in a really close game, and it was really exciting. So we've got some really good talent that have come back, some great leaders, and we're really excited to kind of put all of that together. And I think this year is just going to be even better.
It's never good to lose, especially as you mentioned before, it being the last game of the season and such. But knowing the NVL and broadcasting in it, and I can tell you, Seymour is one of the premier programs, and even though it's not, it's a small school, but they're always competitive. And I think the battles with Seymour are always good. And I felt like that game for you probably helped your team as far as, okay, this is what we have to do if we want to compete with the quote unquote blue blood programs in softball.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm from Ansonia, so I that Seymour game meant so much more to me too. And it was really exciting to be a part of. Knowing the type of competition that comes through that program, I've got nothing but respect for them. And I know they're my returners, they're holding on to that. We've talked about it a couple times already in the past 2 weeks, and it's something that's really fueling them to really go on a run this year.
So is it safe to say you have a little bit of the Ansonia football winning with you a little bit, coach? Because I know that rubs off on everybody, regardless if you played football or not.
Oh yeah, I'm very competitive. I love to win. It's just built into my DNA.
So, coach, kind of talk about again before we talk about this season. How long have you been with the Sheehan program for? And yeah.
So this will be my seventh season with Sheehan. Asterisks on the COVID year. But yeah, 7 years.
And you played for WestCon as well, so that was must have been a fun experience. So when you kind of had the opportunity to coach, was she in your first opportunity, or were you somewhere else before at Sheehan?
So right after I graduated college, I actually started coaching at Amity High School. I was there for 3 years before I accepted the job here at Sheehan. And I coached some great players back then. Katie Kocius, she went on to play at UConn. I've been to two state championships with Amity. I'll never forget my first one. We lost in 15 innings by a walk-off home run, 1-0. So, but I started at Amity, and now I found my home at Sheehan.
And you mentioned the two title games. Now those are two games that you did not win. You mentioned the first one, the other one you did not win either, correct?
Correct. That one was a loss to Cheshire, who we had played 4 times that season, and every single game was a one-run game.
So in a lot of ways, it's almost like again unfinished business, but also too the being so close but yet so far away kind of implies, right? Especially for you.
Absolutely. It's something that I'm really striving for the program at Sheehan. We haven't won a state championship since 1979, and
Mhm.
it's a dream of mine to fix that.
Well, a couple years ago, the football team was able to win a title, and I know that your future husband was a part of that. Was the architect for the offense. I called him, Cliff Kingsbury of Connecticut. The way he was able to draw up plays. So now you fast forward a couple years, and from what you were telling me, Coach, what Sheehan is coming back on the softball side seems to be very intriguing. And there's one pitcher in particular who seems like she's primed to have a very, very good season, but with a pitch that a lot of people maybe would not think about.
Yeah, so Trinity LaValle, she is an incredible pitcher. She's a great player. She's a great kid. She has a really heavy arsenal of about 6 pitches. What's really impressive about her is her ability to move the ball. As a former catcher, I've caught for her a couple times, and the way that her changeup moves is it's very impressive. So we're expecting that Trinity is going to have a really great year.
Now, overall, with the team, and I know every season is different unless you're returning back a lot of players, right? If you graduate a lot and that team was based on power, like I know the Woodland Hawks, who I did their game for NFHS, that team could mash. I mean, those young ladies, I've never felt like I was small, but I was small compared to them, right? Like they could hit tanks, they were big, right? Now, this year could be a little different. I know Belinsky is now at Rhode Island, URI. They lost some other players, but they do have Semenich back. But the point is, though, team's going to look a little different. For you guys, will the team kind of look the same as far as the offense, or will it be a little bit different?
I think we have a totally different type of offense this year. We have much more speed this year than we haven't had in the past, which we do have some power hitters, but our ability to bunt this year is going to be much better than we've had in years past. We've got a lot of young talent that's come up, and we're really expecting them to fill into those slots. We may not be as powerful at the plate this year. We do have some power hitters, but what's really going to get us is aggressive base running, bunting, moving runners over with contact hits. That's going to be really the biggest part for our offense this year.
I would think, Coach, that we were just talking about Major League Baseball, how the game, in a lot of ways, I think before the new rule changes was a little boring or a lot boring because there was no action. Now with the pitch clock and the banning the shifts, now there's hopefully going to be more action. Early on, it seems to be kind of pointing upward. For softball, and kind of like what you mentioned, Coach, I would think, especially in softball and at the high school level, you want to force defenses, and this goes for baseball too, force the teams to make the plays. I mean, granted, teams are very good regardless, but everybody's due to have a bad throw, a bad game. And if you're striking out or if you're popping the ball up every time, you're not really testing anybody. So you want to put the ball in play.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I talk to the kids all the time about causing chaos, aggressive base running, and just getting the ball on the ground. Someone's going to make a mistake somewhere. It's very rare that teams have game after game after game where they don't make errors. And being able to take advantage of that stuff is going to cause, especially athletes at this age, to
Mm.
really get flustered with themselves and cause more mistakes. So causing that chaos is a really big part of our team.
Is there any players that you can share that could be potential to cause some, as the Joker would say, some chaos?
So we have our returning shortstop, Ivy Archer. She was an all-state player last year as a sophomore. She's an all-around just great athlete. She's really smart on the base path, which makes it so much more exciting to watch because she does cause those players to really pay attention to her and maybe not focus in on what they're supposed to be doing as much. Delana Leonard, she's very fast, great base runner. She executes really well at the plate. She's a sophomore this year. She's going to be someone to really look out for this year. And then we've got, Riley Hunter is really intelligent with the game. She's a quick athlete. She is consistent at the plate. She's our center fielder right now, and she's just going to be she's one of those types of kids that she holds on to those things from the past so she can be better from it. And it's going to be really exciting to see those three, really come together.
So when I think of teams as far as returning talent on the defensive side, I've always heard on the baseball level, and it's great to be able to have a softball coach on to ask this. I've always been told, and I believe it, that if you can have an up the middle, either young core or returning core at the high school, college level, and I'm talking about catcher, pitcher, if you can have that, but short, second, and center field. Does Sheehan, it sounds like Sheehan's returning back a lot of some key cog players at those prime positions.
Oh, for sure. We definitely are returning a couple, really key positions. Our shortstop, our pitcher, our center fielder, right up the middle is really solid. We've got Gabby Gawlak that's going to be playing in right field for us tomorrow in our opener. And she's a senior this year. So we do have some veterans that are going to be stepping up. Brooklyn Stanley had a breakout year last year as a freshman,
Mhm.
and she's going to be someone that we really need to pay attention to throughout the year because her bat can really do some damage. She generates a lot of power. So we have the solid pieces to put together. So it's finding those other pieces of the puzzle that fit with it.
Now, talk about the competitiveness of playing in the SEC, right? Because I know FCAC is always great. The NVL is very talented. Every conference I feel like has their own kind of top level teams, and even the teams in the middle still very strong and can beat anybody on any given day. The SEC obviously is the Cheshires, the Sheehans, and can go on and on and on. Talk about that for people who may not know the conference as well.
Yeah, so our conference is extremely competitive. So, the last few years, every single time we've made the state tournament, it's been with a 10-10 record, a 12-8 record, and we've been able to go on a run with that. And then I hear all the time during the state tournament, we didn't expect this from a 24 seed, and it's the level of competition that we see throughout the year. We've got 16 SEC games that we have to play in against some great competition. We're bound to lose some of those. Everybody wishes for a perfect season, but it's very rare to come by. And for our talent to show through in the postseason and get those types of people saying, "Wow, we didn't expect that from that low of a seed." It really holds truth that our conference across the board is really competitive, and it really prepares us for the state tournament.
I don't know, coach, who's saying as far as like, I can't believe you got that far, but they must not be paying attention because if you look at the games and you look at the scores and you just see who's in the conference and who you're playing, and then you kind of look at where the team is going to be come state tournament time, it's a lot different, right? I mean, I remember years ago for girls basketball, Naugatuck was playing, I think it was Brantford or Guilford or somebody like that. And they were a pretty low, high seed, whatever. They were somewhere in the 20s, 30s and they beat Naugatuck, and Naugatuck was one of the top seeds, and people were shocked. But the difference was it was a down year for the NVL, and the team that they faced played in a much better conference, and their record was very deceiving. So I think people got to look at that too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's one of the major things that I look at when we go into the postseason and start to really scout. When we're looking at these teams, okay, who did they play and what were the scores of those games? Do I know these teams? What league are they playing in? Because that holds a lot of weight.
Oh, 100%. It's one of those things I think people they fall in love with the number, right? They see number one seed and they're like, oh, like I remember again years ago going back, Lewis Mills before they ended up going to the CCC for boys basketball was the one seed, and they would get, they got upset and people were shocked. But you got to look at who they're playing against. It's a little bit different. Each conference I feel like is good in their own ways, right? You think of like the FCAC for baseball, built on power and arms. NVL is a little different defense, speed, so on. For softball, what is the SEC kind of, and how is the conference built? What exactly is it surrounded by?
So I think in the SEC, you see a lot of you see a lot of intelligent coaches that use the game like a game of chess.
Mhm.
You depending on the team that you see, you could be seeing a team that bunts all day, and you have to be able to really be defensively on top of that. East Haven is always a powerhouse, slugger team every single year. I remember last year Cheshire, they're starting their number one hitter. She was the fastest kid I've seen in a very long time, and they'd follow her up with a kid that was always consistently
Mhm.
putting the ball in play, and getting that run across was almost a guarantee for them. So when you look across the SEC, there's such a wide range of things that you're going to experience, which it really just makes everybody that much better.
Oh, I agree with you. It's always kind of you if you have the horses, it's great. But if you got the ability to be able to be like you mentioned, if you're a great coach, you're one of them, and there's a lot of them in the conference, right? And you're able to build that and continuously make them better and grow and see what they could be in 2, 3, 4 years, depending on what year you have them. You can only envision what potentially could be down the road.
Oh
You know?
yeah, absolutely. And I do spreadsheets of all of the competition across the SEC every single year, so I know what kids are returning. I've got my spray charts with me every single game. So that player who may have been playing since freshman year is now a senior. I've got 4 years worth of information on them. So we're always prepared for everything that we're gonna see. And I remember those kids coming across every single game.
So I almost wonder is Coach Miller taking some ideas from you when it comes to how you scout? Is he? Be honest.
Oh, you should hear the conversations that go on in our home between the amount of football and softball that we talk. We definitely feed off of each other in a coaching aspect, and that's one of the best parts of our relationship. You know,
Mhm.
we say all the time, you got to be a little bit crazy to live the lifestyle that we do because I'm so busy during the spring, he's so busy during the fall, and making that work, we have to be really understanding of each other. And it's nice to be able to come home and have that conversation with him and he
Mhm.
gets it, and vice versa.
It's a beautiful thing, and you guys seem to make it work, and it's shown. Obviously, you're getting married in just a couple months, and congratulations on that, Coach. Now, before I let you go, I know there was a big announcement made. I think it was during the soccer championships. I think it might have been either after or during, but now softball will not be playing at DeLuca Field anymore. It'll be played at a different site come the championship games. Can you talk about that really quick? Because you're the first coach I've had on to be able to have this discussion. I think it's awesome for the game. No disrespect to DeLuca Field, but when you think of kind of the places of which I think of the championship games, like I just came, I did Mohegan a couple weeks ago for basketball. That was awesome. Football at the Yukon field, right? But now it's awesome to give these young women an opportunity to be able to play at a site and at a place where they can really get that full because the CIAC is known for the experience, right? Well, this place that you're about to say is a great experience for them.
Yeah, we're really excited for the state championship to be played at UConn. It's going to be such an incredible experience for any athlete that has the chance to do that. The UConn coach has been very proactive the last few years in building relationships with all the coaches in the state and really building relationships with a lot of the players in the state. So this is just one more level to that, and it's going to be really exciting for those athletes who may never get the chance to play college ball or may never get the chance to play in that type of facility. They're going to remember that for the rest of their lives. It's really exciting, and we're so pumped for it. And the girls, when I told them that the game was going to be at UConn this year, it just lit another fire underneath them.
That's awesome to hear, Coach. We're just about running out of time. I appreciate you coming on. Best of luck this season. Hopefully, I can get you back on either during the season or maybe get some of your players on as well, if that's okay with you. But appreciate you coming on. A lot of fun.
All right, thanks for having me, Chris.
Always. I'll wrap things up here on the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. And our CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm Jerry Find them all. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and be well.